Good evening, students, and welcome to PSYC101. Today, we'll be exploring the principles of both sensation and perception and the importance in our everyday life. First, let us take a look at this image that is currently being displayed on our screen. Can you confirm what this image is depicting? I can only imagine the number of thoughts and answers that you all are coming up with. For me, I perceive an old man with his nose depicting a lady sitting down with a hat on from behind, and his ears are made from dry tree roots. But I'm certain that many of us are not perceiving the same thing as I do. That is because human beings process information, in this case image, differently. This exercise brings us into perspective the concepts of sensation and perception. First, let's review our learning objectives for today. What are sensation and perception? Describe the sensory process involved in tasting, smelling, and sight. Examples of sensation and perception. Distinguishing between absolute and different thresholds, and why are sensation and perception important in our everyday life. What are sensation and perception? Sensation and perception are two separate processes that are very closely related. But what does it mean to sense something? Now, according to Gibson and Pick 2000, sensation is about detecting things that exist in the world through sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste. To do this, the body uses the sensory organs, which are the eyes, ears, nose, skin, and tongue, which send messages to a specialized area in the brain called the sensory cortex. In other words, what we sense is how we perceive. Perception is about turning the sensory messages and signals into a thought or a piece of useful information that the brain can act on. Example, I can see a cat. I feel pain in my left leg. I am losing my balance. The bottom-up processing is also an explanation for perceptions that start with an incoming stimulus and working upwards until a representation of the object is formed in our mind. Let us look at a few examples of the sensory process, which involves seeing, tasting, and smelling. Now, the sensory process involves stimulus, sensation, sensory coding, which is then followed by the resulting perception. This image shows the sensory process in seeing. Now, first, stimulus takes effect as a green light emits physical properties in the form of photons, which are light waves. Then the sensory receptors in the driver's eye detect this stimulus, followed by the sensory coding, where the stimulus is translated into chemical and electrical signals that are transmitted to the brain. Then finally, perception takes place, where the driver's brain now processes the neural signals and contrasts a representation of the green light ahead. The brain then interprets the green light as a signal to continue driving. This image shows the sensory process of tasting. Now, when you bite into something, molecules dissolve in fluid on your tongue and are received by taste buds, where taste receptors are in taste buds that are on your tongue and in your mouth and throat. Transmit that signal to the taste receptor along a cranial nerve through the thalamus to other areas of the brain, resulting in perception. As a result, you know the taste is either good or bad. Sensory process in smelling. When you smell something, odorants pass into your nose and nasal cavity, then in the olfactory epithelium, which transmit the signal to the olfactory bulb, then onto the olfactory nerve to areas of the cortex and amygdala. As a result, you know the smell is good or bad, and many even experience memories relating to the smell. Example, when I smell fruitcake and sorrel, my favorite time of the year comes to mind, Christmas. Let us now look at some examples of sensation and perception. Upon walking into a kitchen and smelling the scent of bacon cinnamon rolls, the sensation is the scent receptors detecting the odor of cinnamon, but the perception may be, this smells like the bread grandma used to bake when family gathered for holidays. Other examples include recognizing a song, perception, hearing your ringtone, sensation, recognizing your mother's voice, perception, recognizing your favorite food, perception, touching a hot surface, sensation. Now we're going to look at distinguishing between absolute and different threshold. Now, according to Okwa and Sampath 2007, Absolute threshold refers to the minimum amount of stimulus energy that must be present for the stimulus to be detected 50% of the time. Another way to think about this is by asking how dim can a light be, or how soft can a sound be and still be detected half of the time. Sensitivity of our sensory receptors can be quite amazing. Example, it has been estimated that on a clear night, the most sensitive sensory cells in the back of our eye can detect a candle flame 30 miles away. Galante 1962. Under quiet conditions, the ear cells, which are the receptor cells of the inner ear, can detect the tick of a clock 20 feet away. The difference threshold, or just noticeable difference, refers to the change in stimulus that can just barely be detected by the organism. With Krantz 1997, Weber's law maintains that the just noticeable difference of a stimulus is a constant proportion of the original intensity of the stimulus. An example, if you have a cup of coffee that has only a very little bit of sugar in it, say 1 teaspoon, adding another teaspoon of sugar will make a big difference in taste. But if you added that same teaspoon to a cup of coffee that already had 5 teaspoons of sugar in it, then you probably wouldn't taste the difference as much. In fact, according to Weber's law, you would have to add 5 more teaspoons to make the same difference in taste. Now, in conclusion, sensation and perception is of utmost importance and is very crucial in our everyday life. Why? They allow us to experience the world around us, provides us with the ability to detect and interpret the events that are occurring around us. Our senses helps us to survive, while they also entertain us, amuse us, soothe us, and inspire us. Thank you.